Probably all heard the same voice that I did. So it's 3 p.m. right now in São Paulo, 1 p.m. Champaign-Urbana, and 11 a.m. in Seattle, I guess, right, Joanne? Yeah, so let's give maybe 1 more minute. I know there are more people joining the room, so we can start in 1 minute. Okay, so let's get started. So before we start, I just would like to remind you that this is being recorded and everyone here will receive the link with it. And also feel free to leave any question or comment in the chat box. We will open for question at the end as well. And then you are free if you want to open your camera and address the question to any of us, or if you just want to leave this message on the chat and we will read that out. So I'm Daniel Amgarten. I'm co-founder and CEO of Campus B, an organization that has a purpose to provide international education for a better world. Since 2010, we connect students from around the world to do experiential learning on site, remotely, or in hybrid mode. In 2017, we got certified by B Corporation. And since then, we have been making even more efforts to include purpose-driven organizations in our programs. So I have the pleasure to have here with me Anauyla Batista, the Chief Marketing Officer of Greenplat, Nikia Brown, Associate Director of Intercultural and Global Learning from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. You mentioned that in higher ed, you like big titles, right? So I hope that that's right. Joanne Chen, a recently graduate from the University of Washington, and also Guilherme Oliveira, an advertisement student from the Catholic University of São Paulo. So thank you, all of you that accepted our invitation to be here. All of the speakers today have already been involved somehow in our projects with Campus B. The idea here is to have an informal roundtable discussion to connect purpose, work, international collaboration, and skills for the 21st century professionals. I once heard a quote from an unknown author that says, "Find something you love to do, and you'll never have to work a day in your life." So it's probably common sense that it's easier finding something you love if you see purpose in what you do. A Harvard study from 2018 concluded that 9 out of 10 people are willing to earn less money to do more meaningful work. I would like to start this conversation with Nikia Brown, who ran a program with us, a project-based program with us at the University of São Paulo, University of Illinois, sorry, early this year, in the area of public health. So 4 students from Illinois had to design a plan to avoid the spread of COVID-19 at Fundação Casa, a place for incarcerated young people here in Brazil, to be more specific, in the city of Piracicaba. One of the goals of having them working on a real case in a different country was to develop important skills in this hyper-connected world. Nikia, as Associate Director of Intercultural and Global Learning, could you tell us a bit more about initiatives from your institution that are preparing the professionals of the future? And do you agree that in order to tackle global problems, we need local solutions? So Nikia, the floor is yours. And also if you want to present a bit better and explain more what you do, feel free. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniel. I think you did a great job with that introduction. Much appreciated. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this conversation. So I joined the university last year, March, just a couple days before the pandemic. And I was onboarded completely remotely. It was just the other day that I got a chance to meet my staff in person. And I was like, this is surreal. I feel like reintroductions are necessary at this point. But I'm very, very happy to be working with them and pushing forward the objective of bringing together students from different backgrounds, different cultures to solve local and global problems. So when I joined, the university told me very explicitly that, there is this issue with domestic students and international students kind of living in their own silos and not really coming together, becoming friends. It's very easy for an international student, especially at the University of Illinois, because our three largest international populations, Chinese, South Korean, and Indian. So they could come here, be integrated within their own community and graduate with not even making a friend who's native to Illinois or native to the United States. So we were like, okay, this is an issue. How can we address this? How can we bring students together organically? And I like to say, you're going to hear me say this over and over again, but forced connection is not true connection, right? Those connections need to form. You can develop the structure, the infrastructure for it to happen, but those connections, those friendships need to be built organically. So we said, how about we connect students around, Daniel spoke about purpose and mission. And so we said we can invite members from the community to be our partners, and they can pose a challenge to the students for the students to address themselves using the process of human-centered design over the course of a semester. And at the end, they present the findings, and it's up to the organization what they do with that information. But we found that the students got completely involved in the work. And we start with first year students. So they're right out of high school. And it's the first time that they actually get the opportunity to work with practitioners in the field, to work so closely with community organizations and be given a project that they are driving. They're the leaders of this, and they're acting as consultants to these organizations and feeling a sense of ownership throughout the process. So I don't think I said the title. It's the LAS Global Leaders Program, and we launched our first year last year. As Daniel said, he was a partner. And we also partner with one of his colleagues in Africa, and a group of students worked with refugees in Nairobi, Kenya, on addressing how to create more educational, vocational opportunities for women refugees. I could say a lot more about that, but it is a 4-year program, and students usually do the work, the human-centered design process the first year. The second year, they kind of graduate into a peer mentorship role, and they support the incoming students since it's a cohort-based program. The third year, they are going to the organizations themselves saying, hey, I've learned some great tools, and I have some knowledge that I want to share with you to help you solve your own problems. And by the fourth year, they're reflecting on everything that they've done in the program and completing a capstone of their choice, whether that be a research report or working with interning with one of the organizations that they partnered with earlier. So that is the 4-year Global Leaders Program. And to answer the latter part of your question, Daniel, absolutely. I think it's very important for students to know that the problems that they're facing in their country, it is not unique to their country, right? These problems are happening locally, they're happening globally, and maybe at varying degrees, but there is a degree of empathy that we're able to arrive at because we're facing the same challenges.
Thank you, Nikia. I love when you say that forced connections are not true connections. And I mean, I do think that's true. And I mean, I'm very happy to learn that students that joined this year will be the leaders. I mean, they will be mentoring the ones of next year, because I think that will help them also to create this connection with the alumni of that program, right? So it's very, very exciting to hear about that. So thank you very much. I now would like to talk to Guilherme. So Guilherme is a Brazilian student from PUC São Paulo, Catholic University of São Paulo. And he joined a program called Social Lab that we ran last April with the University of Washington. Guilherme, so first of all, thank you again for being here. For my generation and older generations here in Brazil, it seems that the ideal professional career was to work for a big and stable company, no matter the purpose of those organizations. Do you think, as a Brazilian student, do you feel that the ideal professional career has changed? And how, if you think so?
Well, this is a good question, and I think you can answer it with in many ways. I think I can start saying that it's a fact that the market has changed, and it's changing every day. Currently, we have so many professions that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we had no idea it would exist. For example, social media manager, a professional that is responsible for managing the company's digital channels, or a professional that is responsible for taking care of your data on internet, or maybe being a YouTuber, I don't know, this kind of thing. I mean, that we had no idea a while ago. And how I am already talking about professions, we know we also have a lot of professions that you don't have to work in a company to be successful. Working as a designer or selling things on the internet, uh, where you can earn even more money than working in a company. As I said, working for online pages or digital marketing, that it's something that it's really on the rise. Um, so I believe people's behavior has changed. We have so much information, and when I mean we, I mean we that are young people. We have so much information and options that we see we see the market by other perspective. We like to explore more. We want to be less attached to things that limit us. And if you want to work in a company, uh, you don't want to just work for this company. You want to be a part of this company. And now saying for other generations, I think the ideal career for them was, yes, to study and then graduate and then work every day in a company doing the same things, having your financial stability so you could build your family. And I remember being hanging out with my mom when I said that I probably would work as a photographer, and she just looked at me and made that face. Are you sure about that? Isn't better if you just work in a company with marketing? And I said no, because it's something that I like and it's something that I love, and it's something that I want to take forward. And I think that is another one. I believe that today young people want to have their stability, but also want to work with something they like. For a long time, we were pressured by our family to take professions we didn't like just because they would pay well. And that's why I believe this is what is changing.
Hey, thank you. I have actually one more question to you. So you joined two programs with us, right? One with a group from New Zealand, and now this with a group from the University of Washington. And Nikia was saying that she wanted to connect domestic students and international students within the same university. This is a kind of thing we don't have a lot in Brazil, because our percentage of international students is very, very little compared to the United States. So what I see is that you, Guilherme, you lived what we call the internationalization at home. So you joined 2 international programs without crossing the borders of Brazil.
Yeah.
And how do you see, how do you feel that this will help you in your career? I mean, connecting with the students from New Zealand, from the United States. So how that open your mind, and how do you benefit from it?
Yeah, I just want to say hi to Gabi and Maya. It's good to see you guys again. And Nayara and Leticia, it's really good to see you guys again. And I think having this kind of exchanging program in my own country, it's a great opportunity, because a lot of people here in Brazil don't have so much money to go abroad. So I see this like you said, it's a open door that we have. It's a like it's a great opportunity to exchange knowledge. And let me see, I think it open, I already said that, but I think it's something that open other doors for you.
Okay, thank you very much, Guilherme. So now I'd like to address a question to Joanne. It's a similar question that I did with Guilherme. Joanne was also in the same project that Guilherme joined in April. And so, Joanne, the COVID-19 pandemic has shown us that the world is super interconnected. For example, the Spanish flu from 1918, it took 6 months to come to Brazil, whereas the COVID-19 took 6 weeks to be here. And I think for that reason, for us being so interconnected, global awareness is a skill that can be useful to tackle global problems. So you were a part of this virtual program with Brazilian students to solve an issue with a company with purpose. Again, a similar question to Guilherme. How do you see working in a project and multicultural project of solving an issue of a company with purpose can benefit your career? And again, thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. That's a good question. I think because I recently graduated from university and just started my full-time role a month ago, this is a question that I think a lot about in terms of my goals and how I'm going to achieve them in my career. I think global awareness is an advantageous skill in both our professional and our personal lives. But I think Guy touched on this a little bit in just that it is a privilege to be able to be deeply immersed in another culture, which is why the work that Nikia is doing and Campus B is doing is so important in opening the doors for more students to experience that. But I think in any workplace, no matter what company you work for, what location you're working from, you're going to be working with people who come from different backgrounds and different upbringings. Regardless if you're from the same country or in a different country, it's going to be a varying degree of difference between how you think and what you think and how you operate. So in that sense, I think it really does make sense for if we brought in our global awareness and we build that out, then we're able to work more effectively with others to better tackle the issues that are waiting to be solved together. But also in the future, I hope to be working abroad at some point. I'm not sure where, but I think the virtual program that I did with Guy was a really good entrance into that and introducing me to what it would look like later down the road to work with people from a different country and in a different environment. So in that sense, I think it'll benefit my career in the long run.
Okay, thank you very much, Joanne. Now my question goes to Anna from Greenplat. So Anna, thank you for being here today. So although we understand that students are considering purpose a main decision factor for working at their organization, we still see many students applying for trainee programs of huge organizations, and you know how difficult they are to get in. And a lot of those organizations don't have purpose as the main driver. So other than working with a purpose, are there other things an organization like yours can offer to your employees? And also, if you want to introduce more the work of Greenplat, feel free. Thank you, Anna. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniel. Well, definitely, that's a great question. And definitely, we have many advantages to offer to an employee, what I consider much better than working for a big corporation. So, well, first of all, who are we? We are a technology company that addresses environmental impact. We are a software as a service based on blockchain. We do traceability, process control, value chain control. And we are launching this year a project that by the traceability we want to convert it, tokenize, and make it into a cryptocurrency and we decided it together with a group of students from your project, from Campus B project, that it's the environmental coin. So I definitely believe I make this move from a big corporation to a startup. And when I started my career around 15 years ago, I didn't have so much conscience, and we didn't even speak about startups in this, not even in this word here in Brazil. So I started a standard career. I entered a big multinational, and I spent around 14 years in big multinationals. But I always had this entrepreneur spirit, so I couldn't see the time to leave the company and start in a startup and start my startup. It's very harder. I mean, it's harder to make this decision 15 years later, because we are in this part of life when we think about building a family and maybe get pregnant. So should I take all this risk? So this word risk always comes to our mind, but that's a bullshit actually, because the startups, they offer many things that big corporations offer. And if I want to talk to you guys, young professionals, about risk, take more risk. So I'm happy today that many students and young professionals are already seeing it. If you interview students from world-class universities, it's very normal. You find someone that will say, no, I don't want to join a big corporation. So they want risk. They want, because if you take more risk, maybe you take more return. So when you're young, you can take more risk. If you think, no, I can't because of blah, blah, blah. No, don't say that. You can. It's the best part of your life for taking risks. Also, when you join a startup, you have the ability to learn faster. It's for the startup, it's a survival needs. Small companies don't have so much cash flow as so much cash as the big companies have. And you also don't have many high-level executives. So if you join the company, you need to do an extraordinary job. And normally you have autonomy and you need to learn fast. While in a big company, maybe you make only a small part of the entire company job, very small. In a startup, when you do a job, because things are not so departmentalized, then you have a bigger part of the pie. Well, 3, you have the possibility of faster career growth. While in a multinational, maybe you take 8 years or 10 years from internship to senior specialist. In a startup, in the same period, maybe you come from an intern to senior director or a C-level, and maybe you already have equity from the company. And if the startups grow, you grow together, right? So you can be an entrepreneur in a startup, and maybe, as I said, you become essential for the company, and then you get a small part of the company. So, well, you asked what we offer, right? So I started answering that it's the same benefits. So startups may have good salary as big companies have. Also, we offer the same benefits here for our employees. We are like a family. I think this is a benefit as well. We have time flexibility. So normally startups, they have more benefits actually, because they know they are competing with big corporates. So we need to offer something else, right? Our CEO, he is always with the door opened, and anyone from the company can come in and just tell about anything. If you have a family issue, for example, we will say take some days for you. So because we need this person, we are close to this person. We are like a family. So I think this spirit, this energy flows. It's good. You really become part of something. You can grow. You learn, and you learn a lot. It's really like an MBA to be in a startup. And nowadays, many companies, big companies, partner with startups, and they offer acceleration programs and incubators. So it comes with some classes, some training, some mentoring from very senior people. So I think I took this career move, and I would say go for startup. I really think genuinely that it's something very good to do, to take this risk. And wow, definitely in the end, if you can choose a company that do good for the world. So I don't really understand why nowadays talent go for an ordinary company. You don't need to go for an ordinary company. You can choose. You have the same benefits. You have a good wage, and you can do good things for the world. So don't be an ordinary person. I think this is my last words.
Okay, thank you, Anna. I have actually another question to you, more specific on the project. So companies, whether they are startups or big companies or B Corps or NGOs, they all have issues, challenges or problems, let's say, that way. And you had a group of students that were focused, their goal was to help Greenplat with a project. And that group was formed with students from Brazilian institutions and from US institution. How do you see this, how this multicultural group helped Greenplat? Do you think it was important having people from different nationalities and cultural background to think together on a solution to your business?
Oh, for sure. We reduce the amount of bias to start. So we know it's impossible for someone to don't have bias, but if you have people just like you, very similar, with the same background, with the same culture, the bias are stronger, the same bias. We have global bias, but we have also in the same culture, you have it stronger. So if you have people from different cultures, you have different points of view, different recommendations, different questions. Why? Different whys. So this is this type of diversity is very rich for a project, a company to grow, a project to start. And well, maybe some people like to have similar people around, because it's easier. You say, I like this, and then the other person say, yes, I like it too. It's more, it's easier, right? Yeah, we like it, so let's have lunch. But then you say, I like this, and the other person will say, I don't like it. Why? Because of this, and then you think, oh yes, maybe you're right, and then you debate it. So I think it's really rich, the possibility to have students and people from all around the world, from different parts of the world, different cultures, aggregating. And also, I think something that is very good from the project is that you're not here to be hired, right? So you can say what you think and use that when you work with Campus B partners. Use that. You really say what you think, because be genuine with you and with the people in the other part of the screen. Because nobody have time to lose, right? But when you are in startup and when you are an entrepreneur, your time is really rare and scarce. So when we enter a meeting or enter any project, we want to do that with a specific, like, I want to learn, I need to learn, I need to build something. I choose if I go to this meeting or that one. So everything means a lot, you know. So this is also part of our startup world. Everything means a lot. So when you enter a group with Campus B, be very honest and genuine, because the other part here is listening and considering what you're bringing, all the insights.
Hey, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. So I would like to open some questions for the audience. You can again raise your hands or type in the chat box. But while you think about a question, I have already one question to Nikia. Nikia, I was reading today an article that's from 2016, but I just found out today, of the importance of understanding global problems. And that was a very good example. So imagine someone in Uganda that heard about a mass shooting at a college in the United States. And this person might think, why they don't create a law to forbid that there, as if it was a super simple solution, and we know that it's not. And this person could go from Uganda to the United States and start an NGO and try to fight for that. Of course, this is an example. We see a lot of the other way around, people going from the United States to help creating solutions in other places. And what this author says, and she's an American herself, that a lot of organizations, they fail because they want to create solutions for people and not with people. And I loved when you said that working on a global problem is a good way to make this true connection among the students. So how do you see that? I would like to hear your opinion about how do you see in those projects that we run that they were building solution with people?
Yeah. Great question, Daniel. Please share that article after this meeting. I'm curious now. So as you were sharing that example, I'm going to try to keep this very short. And a recent experience came to my mind when I was having a conversation with someone in Poland about racism, about police brutality. And it's almost as if, like, I looked into his eyes and his eyes was trying to make sense of my world and my experiences. And also English was a second language, so he was trying to find the words to articulate his point of view as well. And then someone else came along and heard our conversation, who had actually, another Polish individual who had lived here and did a huge road trip across the States and experienced it in a number of different ways. And so he was able to add his experience and his perspective to how he witnessed people of color being treated in the United States in a way that this other individual could not comprehend, because he may have heard some things or saw some things in the media, but he didn't live it. And so it's so important to gain different perspectives, right? But to also appreciate the lived experiences of different people, because without that, you're only seeing one part of the story, right? And someone could even say a superficial part of the story. And so when you gave that example about like someone from Uganda saying, okay, this is so simple, why don't you just create a law without considering just like the political tension that exists in America and where people stand in terms of gun laws and things like that. It's so easy to say, why don't you, until you come here and you're like, oh, wow. So can't do that because that would never really appease the masses because we have so many points of view here. And so when I think about the students' experiences of learning human-centered design and why human-centered design is so important is because the very first step is empathy. It's understanding what the problem is from the people who are facing it, from the people who are experiencing it. So we encourage the students to do their research, but we also encourage the students to talk to real people and hear their perspectives, listen to their stories, and prioritize their voices, not your thinking, not what you think the solution should be, because again, this is not your lived reality, right? Listen to their voices, prioritize it, and then you can begin to consider, well, based on what they shared with me, based on the problems from their point of view, perhaps this could be a solution that could help. And then not stopping there, bringing that solution to that same group of people and saying, well, how about this? Would this solve that problem? And giving them the freedom that you're bringing to the table. So again, I said I might want to step back and take back what I said earlier about the students driving the project, because I feel as though it was actually the people that they were interviewing who were driving the project, and that's how it should be, right? So listening to their stories and considering their point of view, and then, okay, going to the drawing board, putting some Post-its up, bringing it back to them, right? And being comfortable with having to take steps back if necessary. And that can be very frustrating, not just for students, but for anyone, you know, who likes to feel as though they're a problem solver and they're making progress.
Nikia, are you there? I don't know if it's my connection or everyone.
No, it's her.
Okay, let's wait a few more seconds. Okay, so are you back? I think you are back now, Nikia. I can see you moving. You were frozen.
Oh, okay. So
What was the
last thing that you heard?
Last 30 seconds. I have to so oof. I don't know. It was about 30 seconds ago. You were saying that you want to go back to what you said, that who was driving actually the project were the people they were working for and not them.
Yes.
And then you said something else and start phrasing.
Yeah, so I'll wrap it up too, because I know that you have other questions for other people, but I was getting at the point that human-centered design is an iterative process, and that can be frustrating for some people because you could think that you're coming up with these amazing solutions, but if your solution does not fit the context or truly solve the needs of the people, then it's futile. And so I think that was a challenging lesson for the students to learn, but a very valuable one. And that was helpful to them because they realized that, okay, we really have to co-create with, because we have a short period of time and we really want to develop something that's not only meaningful, but practical for this particular group of people. So we have to listen to them and make sure that our solutions are really meeting their needs.
It's great. Thank you. Thank you. Great answer. I like that. So does anyone from the audience have a question? Feel free to unmute yourself or raise the hand. Okay, we have a comment here. Not a question, a comment. Okay, so I will make then another question to Joanne. Joanne, you mentioned to me that you were supposed to go to Taiwan, if I'm not mistaken. You had a scholarship to go there, and of course, because of the pandemic, there was no possibility for doing a student mobility, and you joined our program here in Brazil, well, remotely, but in Brazil. And we know that when we go abroad, we get to see things, we get to be involved, talk to people from that culture and so on. Although you can also be in your mobile and connecting to people with your country. However, the technology also helps bring the world to you in Seattle. So you worked with Guy was in your team, and you have some Brazilians in your team as well. I would like to hear, how was this exchange of culture? I know you were working on the project, but you had to exchange ideas and understand a bit the other side. So I'd like to hear your perspective on it. And also if Guy wants to complement that afterwards, also feel free.
Yeah, I was sad when I couldn't go to Taiwan, but I did get to experience one study abroad program in Madrid for a semester before that, so I can kind of compare the two. While I was working on the Green Plat project, we did spend a lot of time working together, but when we first started, we kind of talked about where we were, like what we already knew, and kind of the experiences that we had as a kid. Like when I started first grade, we were already composting and recycling and throwing things in trash and separating everything. And that's really normal for us in Seattle, but that's not necessarily common in other areas. So we were just talking about kind of the differences there first. And then we spent time working together on the project, but we also set aside time just to get to know each other. And like Guy was asking questions about like movies, whether it was a true representation of what life is like in the US. And then I could ask him questions about Brazil. And although it doesn't seem like that would help in solving the problem that we were there to solve, it actually did, because it helped us work together better and understand each other in a fuller way. And so even though we were just like talking to each other through a screen and it wasn't like my Madrid experience, it was really up to us to ask the questions that we needed to ask to figure out how to better understand each other, because I didn't have as much time as I did in Madrid.
Okay, thank you. Guy, you want to complement her answer?
No, I think she said everything. It was pretty nice, this kind of exchanging, and it was pretty nice get to know that there is a difference between movies and the real life in United States. That really shocked me when I knew some things that Joanne, Emily, Jared told me. Jared was another student, and he had been twice here in Brazil, and it was pretty nice because he have another idea about Brazil, and it's nice to talk to people like Joanne and Jared, because we can explain, and we that are Brazilian, we really like to talk about Brazil, and we also like to know about others cultures, and it was pretty nice in having these conversations. Unfortunately, we didn't have so much time to talk about it, but what we talk, I think, was pretty cool.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that I think that in the films, movies, there are a lot of stereotypes as well. When I tell people that I don't like soccer, people say, "Oh, but are you Brazilian?" I say, "Yeah, I'm Brazilian, but I don't like soccer." And one thing that I liked when we moved to virtual, we were able to get students from more parts in Brazil. So in some groups, we had students from Manaus in the Amazon, from Rio, from Brasilia. And I like this diversity because also, well, Nikia lives in Urbana-Champaign, which is in the middle of some cornfields near Chicago. If I go to New York and think that I know the United States, that's not true. I mean, New York and Champaign, for example, are different, or Montana or Alaska. So sometimes we try to get what we know and think this is the reality of the country. Now, I've been to China, to Beijing and Shanghai, but I don't know, China is not only Beijing and Shanghai. I mean, there are much more, and actually Beijing and Shanghai might be at some point similar than some other parts in China. So I see that no one wrote in the chat box. I will ask once again if there is any question coming from the audience. Feel free to unmute. Okay. Good. So before we finish the webinar, then I would like to mention that Campus B is running a Positive Impact Internship program. So it will happen from October 4th to November 15th. For that program, we are offering 50 full scholarships for underrepresented students from Brazil, from other countries in Latin America, and also from US-based institutions. And we will use our IPBL methodology, so International Project-Based Learning. So we want students to have true connections, and we believe that working in real cases and global problems, that will help them with that. So the students will be teamed up in multicultural teams, and will work on a project that address social or environmental issues. We have, I will put the link here for you all, and it seems that we have one question before I just say the goodbye. So what was the most important thing that you guys learned from each one's experiences? So I think this will be addressed for the students. What do you think was important you learned from the coaches? You mentioned about the garbage and things like that. I would love to hear more from you, Joanne and Guilherme. And also if Anna, that was in the project as well, or Nikia want to answer, feel free. Joanne, you want to start?
Sure, I can start. I think the most important thing I learned in the Green Plat project is what the social impact was of what we were doing, and just in how we would directly impact those lives of the people who pick the trash, and just opening more opportunities for them through the environmental coin. Like I had no idea that that was such an issue in Brazil. So I think that's something that was at the forefront of my mind when I read this question.
Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah.
Guilherme, you want to point out something?
Yeah, something I think a good part of this project was that even being a Brazilian, I had no idea about the issues that we have here in Brazil and so much solutions that we can have. I had no idea about the social coin that there is in Palmeiras, the social coin Palmeiras. It was I had no idea like that kind of thing exists in Brazil. So I think this is the best part, that you know problems in your own country that you had no idea. And one of the I remember that one of the part of this program that the other professional that was joining with us the project, Professor Naka, he told us about a live that was happening on Instagram, and I watched that live, and it was an interview with a student from his work, and another PIC guy. I forgot how to say that, but it was with someone that picks the trash in the streets, and it was really like, how can I say, I had no idea about the conditions that this kind of people had. Like, it's very difficult. uh it's very difficult, and we had the pandemic, what really became harder to have this kind of job that this guy had. So it was pretty nice get to know his history, and and know that it is not just him, it's a lot of people that work with that and depends on that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's amazing to see how sometimes we need people from other cultures to understand our own culture, you know.
Yeah.
And you saying that, I remember I work in this field over the last 11 years. And I remember that the first time that I visited a community in Rio, Cantagalo Pavão Pavãozinho, was with a group from the University of Illinois. And I mean, for me, Brazilian middle class is like, no, you cannot go there. You cannot go to that places and non-go. And then we got connections there with a very serious organization that worked there. And we took the group to talk more about how's life there. And actually they have a wonderful view of Copacabana in Ipanema. And it was so eye-opening for me. I mean, I live very close to them, and I had to wait a group cross from Urbana-Champaign to show me that, you know. So it's incredible how we learn a lot about ourselves in those exchanges as well. So we've got a comment here from Ridi. So no question as such, but I agree with all the points mentioned today. In my multicultural team at internship, in college, different opinions and get to know each other's cultures really helpful. Ridi, if you want to open your mic and share about your experience, feel free. We would love to hear more about that.
Oh, sure. So I just like completed our final presentation with Campus B today. So I was just like attending this seminar to get to know more about similar kinds of internships. So my team also has students from different countries. I am from India, and we have students from Brazil, from Spain, from US. And it was good to just like firstly get to know each other virtually. And I felt that today, like in the end also, we were not only like talking about a project, but later we got to connect with each other more and maybe know more about each other without really like visiting places. So I found that part really interesting. And even in my college, I study in the US. So as we were discussing about like having experience from other cultures and studying with other international students is really important for like one's overall development. So I thought that, yeah, maybe one should now and then like look out for opportunities for us to connect with other cultures, just to like be aware of what's happening around us. And also just like discussing about things that happen in Brazil or in India, I really got to know like about different opinions of people around me, and maybe like kind of changed my opinions about some things.
Okay, great to hear about that. So you just presented the final project today, right? Okay, congratulations. Yeah. So we've got a question to Anna here from Andre. So Anna, how can a virtual internship program prepare students for future employment?
Well, nowadays there's no option for many people, right? So the programs became virtual. It can be an internship, a trainee program, or whatever. I think there's not so much to lose, and also maybe something to win. But something that I dislike a little bit is that when I was young, I learned a lot from the older and senior people by looking at how they move, how they speak in the office, you know. So these things we lose with the home office. So if you have the chance to work in a hybrid system, great. If you have to be at home, but you have the chance to work from maybe a co-working, go sometimes there. You don't need to go every day, you know, but it's nice to see how others do, because we learn from that. But generally speaking, we have here the agile methodologies. So not only in the development, not only in the technical area, but for the entire company. So I speak to my team every day, and I have different teams, and I do spend every day at least 30 minutes with each team every day. And I listen to them, what they did yesterday night, for example, how they are, how is family, and also mainly the activities of yesterday and today. And when it is Friday, I review the week, and when it's Monday, I review the coming days. So we are very close to each other, and also we speak in WhatsApp the entire day. By that, I think we are able to develop people, and there is definitely a lot to learn. So yes, go for a virtual internship. You have the advantage that you can work for companies from all around the world, right? And so that's it. I think benefits and all, it's all the same. Just don't stay only at home. You need to move, you know, go have lunch somewhere, meet people, call for someone in your area, asking for a mentorship, maybe every 15 days, or different mentors, you know. Go out to talk with friends about business. If you don't have friends to talk about business, do what you can do, but meet people. You need to leave home sometimes. It's not good to stay at home the entire day alone. It's human are being for interaction, so make it happen.
Great. So when you talk about hybrid model, that sounds like music to us, right? Because next year we want to develop some hybrid internships that students can start working remotely, and then at the end they spend a few weeks in the place and they make the final presentation there for those that can travel, right? But if within a team you don't have everyone that can travel, part of the group can present in the company, and part of the group can be remotely. So I think this makes those programs more accessible, because we know that the cost of traveling and so on doesn't make necessarily super accessible the program. But making this mix would be ideal in our view. We do understand that we gain a lot by being with people. I don't meet with my team in person over the last year and a half almost. Luckily now we got the vaccine, so we will be soon able to meet again. And I think it's not going to be as it was. So instead of coming to the office 5 days a week, it will be like 1-2 days. And I think we can work with the best of each world, the remote and also the on-site. So we are now getting closer to the hour. I already explained a bit about the Positive Impact Internship. I'm also putting it here, the link, in case you want to learn more about it. I would like to thank all of you that stopped for an hour of your day to be here, especially for the ones in the round table: Nikia, Anna, Guilherme, Joanne. Thank you very much for accepting the invitation. And that's it. So we'll stop here the webinar, and then we'll send the link to everyone that was here, and also to the people that submitted but could not join today. So I hope you have a great day, and see you. Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye all.